Hello and welcome, Evan of the 77 Club. Harry, start with the socials.
Wow. the Wall 77 Club
Wow.
on Facebook and Instagram at 77 Club Podcast on Twitter. Spotify, 5 stars, please. YouTube, subscribe. And there we go. Follow us.
Jack Williams is here.
Good evening, Internet.
And someone that may be well on the way to Wolves, all but signed, sealed and delivered, Matheus Nunes, Harry. Looks like it's going to be a club record £38 million fee from Sporting Lisbon. He is a fantastic player, one that we've admired for a couple of weeks, definitely on the podcast, saying that if we can get him in, he would make a big difference. I was always very hopeful. Jack was the opposite. How are you feeling?
I'm surprised. I mean, at time of recording, it looks like it's pretty much done, and I'm sure it will be by the time this comes out. And we were joking about it as when we were talking about that friendly as well, weren't we? About Tony Roberts liking tweets saying, bring him back with you and all that. And I mean, everyone's seen the clip of what Pep said about him, one of the best players in the world. So the fact that he's willing to come to us and the fact that we're spending a lot of money again, I mean, it's going to be nearly 100 million now if this goes through, isn't it? It's pretty good stuff, isn't it? And as you'd expect, everyone's buzzing online. It's weird to see a positive Twitter for once. And it feels like after the Leeds and after the Fulham game, Jeff and Co thought, sod sell to buy. Let's just go out all out and get this absolute genius midfielder. And it looks like it's going to happen.
Jack, even last night, Monday night, around about 7:30, the rumours started to move a little bit more and sort of saying, oh, these seem to be hotting up a little bit. And then it's like we're just waiting for Liam Keane or Fabrizio to sort of do the tweet. And then it came and sort of we were waiting for the here we go, but it didn't quite get there yet. But your thoughts, because I think beginning of the transfer window or the first podcast, you said that it was a shambolic window.
Yeah, and that was only actually 2 podcasts ago, really, 2 weeks ago. And at the time of recording, I was right. But that Monday night, 2 nights ago on Wolves Twitter was one of the most exciting that I've had in quite a long time because these rumours just wouldn't go away. And even then I was saying, look, I don't believe this. When people were talking about it in the ground on Saturday, I was like, that ain't going to happen. Come on, give your heads a wobble. It's, it's another Sanchez or a, Talisca, whoever. And, as soon as that tweet came from Fabrizio, that's as soon as then I believe it then. Like John Percy or Fabrizio. And I know Liam Keane did get in there. He got in there first, didn't he? But just incredible, really, because it's something we've been crying out for, and I just can't believe that. I wasn't expecting to spend this much money because I thought it was going to be another sort
not
of
net spend either. Yeah,
no, exactly. And you're just thinking we're going to smash our transfer record after a sought after midfielder. I honestly thought was just going to go to City or Liverpool or one of these sorts of clubs, or be hijacked by a top 6 club. And it's just what we've been crying out for so long, and it really, obviously, since we came up and since that transfer window where we brought in Moutinho and Dendoncker, we need a ball-carrying midfielder, and particularly with the way that Bruno, I think, wants to play, probably with a 4-2-3-1 sort of formation, it's just going to fit in straight away, and it just takes us to that next level, doesn't it? It's at that next level. Suddenly, the midfield is looking competitive because we've actually got 4 players who are out and out sort of central midfielders, and then you throw the other players in there like Gibbs White and like Guedes, who can also fit in depending on how we're playing, and it's just suddenly we've got competition and a bench. And fair play to him, Fosun, because I know I was slagging him off just a few weeks ago, but at the time it was absolutely dire because. The only criticism is it'd be good to get these deals done earlier so we don't just waste the month of August. And 1 point in 2 games against winnable opposition really does say that we're just starting slowly. But it's not the Wolves' way, is it, to get it done early? And we've seen that in recent seasons. But you've got to give them credit, fair play to them. It's really exciting, and just to be able to pull in that caliber of player who has obviously had offers from all over the place going on. Thank you, Fosun. Thank you, Uncle George, I think is all we can say.
Uncle George, yeah.
That's the thing, isn't it, Harry? Uncle George pulls through again. And I think he has split opinion amongst Wolves fans recently and over recent years, but you have to say he's pulled a couple out of the bag.
Oh God, yeah. And especially with signings like this, you can't moan, can you? With him being linked with us. When he first come along and got us all these good players, you mentioned the first transfer window, we all said it's going to come back to bite us on the ass though, like when we lose some of our superstars. But he's done a lot more good for us than bad, hasn't he, in terms of ins and outgoings. And it's just really exciting, but interesting. Paul said in the comments about, will we sell to fund this? Like Neto being linked with Man United today. Again, it's always going to be the rumour mill now, isn't it? Because we're splashing cash now and we've been openly said we're sell to buy. Is Neves going to stay, for example? Surely he is. surely sign a new contract. But hope that don't happen. Hope that's not the case.
I think if there was going to be one who went now, you'd say it'd be Gibbs White if they are offering 30 odd million. Then if we did need to get some cash back in the books, and I think that would be the one, if that money's still on the table from Forest, that you could see happening. I'd be shocked if we are going, because it's a real statement of intent to the rest of the players there as well, isn't it? Because the likes of Neves and the likes of Neto, if they can see there's investment coming in and it's, talent from their own country, who's going to make us hopefully kick on and take us back to where we were, top half of the table, pushing for Europe, then it's more of an incentive for them to stay, isn't it? So I think that's actually indirectly helping. And I think there's a good chance Neves will sign a new contract now, because suddenly there's that whole refreshed optimism and this massive statement of intent that we've thrown down.
Harry, do you think this is the first time the club has realistically actually taken quite a big gamble, potentially? Because it's always seemed like, we came up to the Premier League, the signings were made, and I think you made the point on the group chat earlier, which was the best window that we'd ever had. I think you said it was the first one where it was Neves, Bolly, Douglas, Jota. Matinho was obviously in the Premier League with Jimenez on loan, Dendoncker, and then you've got this one as well. Is this the first time that they've really, really gambled, though? Because £100 million pushing that net spend, and potentially no players leaving or recouping any of that money. Do you think that it is that push for Europe, and they've gone, actually, we've been here for 3 seasons now, it is time to push on?
I don't know if it's a gamble. I think they didn't have much choice today, because it was getting laughable of how small our squad was, especially the Leeds game. So it was needed. And I think we knew the financial fair play stuff was easing off. So we all expected this, but I think we all didn't think it would happen, did we? And now it is. And when you'd say gamble, I think Fabio Silva was a bit of a gamble. And I mean, we're going to go on to him later, aren't we, with how he's doing over there? But
yeah,
they've threw money at things before. I mean, look at the money we brought Semedo for as well. So it's a lot of money. We still don't know whether people are going to go. Is Gibbs White going to stay? We don't know, do we? Are they going to try and get money in? But if they don't, if they just spend it like this and don't really get a big fee received for the likes of Neves or Gibbs White, then absolutely fantastic. And us Wolves fans can't moan then. We've just got to get behind Bruno and the team, and they've done exactly what we wanted, especially if they get a striker as well.
Jack, what was your favourite part of this whole thing so far? Has it been looking at Nunes' goals? Has it been looking at the Liverpool fans crying on Twitter? There was one Sporting fan, actually, I saw this tweet, and it says, "Allez va foutre en la ta carrière." And I thought, it looks so poetic. I wonder what it means. And it says, "Go fuck your career." I was like, this is just absolutely genius.
The ex-Liverpool players are Jose Enrique. He was like a left back.
Yeah.
He's put, "Come on, LFC," didn't he? Get in the middle of this deal, get him. So when people like him are saying stuff like that, just shows you the magnitude of this signing, doesn't it? Really?
And he said that like this morning as well, didn't he? He was still hoping that they could hijack the deal at this late stage, but once Fabrizio said, "Here we go," then it's done in my books. It's a matter of when, not if. But personally, for me, what the question was, what do I enjoy the most? And it's definitely just the comments on Wolves Twitter. Some of them are just hilarious. It's like, particularly from some of the Sporting Lisbon fans, it's like, why is he going there, waste his career? They're just going to get beaten by Burnley again. Well, probably not this season, but that's that sort of thing. But
I mean, I've got another one here. It was like another loss, another relegation fighting battle at the end of the season. More top players' careers ruined. No Europe, no trophies, no reputation, no prestige, no nothing. Just a corrupt agent and an Asian billionaire to keep you relevant. Otherwise, you'd be in the 4th division. Yeah, probably. That's fair enough. Yeah, probably.
It's just one of these things, isn't it? And it's the draw of the Premier League as well, isn't it? I'm guessing because of the money involved in it, and the fact it's such a global brand means that players in Portugal are always going to be tempted with the wage rise they can get and the fees that can go to these clubs. That inevitably that Portuguese football is always going to be a bit of a feeder for one of the other bigger leagues, really. I'm not saying Portuguese league is particularly a bad standard, because it's not at all, but it's similar sort of to Holland, isn't it? That all the players are going to want to go for the big money and they'll get drawn into La Liga or into the Premier League or similar. So
all the players play for the top 2 or 3 sides in the country, and then they move into the Premier League. It's just the way it is sometimes. Harry, how would you rate this window if we sign someone like who's the other one we've been linked to
Ramos
today? Yeah, Gonçalo Ramos. What would that do, and how would it rate with the rest of the transfer windows that we've seen of the Fosun era?
I think if we sign that Ramos and Neves signs a new deal and potentially Traore as well, it's got to be a 9 or a 10, isn't it? It's got to be. It's got to be for me.
It'll have gone miraculously from a barely a 2 out of 10 2 weeks ago to one of probably the best windows since when we came up, really, and properly did invest and started to draw the sort of world football stars that we could only dream of a few years ago when we were getting beaten by Luton. So, you know, these sorts of things. But there's still a long way to go, actually, as well, isn't there? Really, you know, two weeks of this window, but we've addressed. Looks like we've finally addressed the midfield situation. You know, the lack of options in midfield, and now everyone can see what the problem is. We need more firepower up front, don't we? And just watching the game against Fulham, which we'll probably go on to now on Saturday, is testament to that. But if we address that, it could be a really good window out of nowhere here.
And if all that does happen, what we've just said, the pressure goes a bit off Jeff and Fosun and that, and then it's all on Bruno then, isn't it? It's like, over to you, Bruno. We've backed you now. Show us what you can do. And that's it then, isn't it? It's he's just got to show us what he can do with those players.
Wolves finish 18th after 14 consecutive draws.
Oh, God. Yeah, very, very exciting. I mean, I remember saying sort of back end of last season that, you know, it's a really, really big opportunity and it could be really exciting, this transfer window. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen in it yet. And like say, 2 weeks left means that there's 2 weeks to either bring in a striker, or there's 2 weeks to potentially lose a Neto to Man United, or a Neves to Barcelona, or wherever. But so not counting my chickens yet, but really looking forward to it. It was good to get back in Molineux the other day. No trains, so we all had to be sober, which is just awful. I mean, Harry, how slow are the games when you're not off your box?
Seeing the game sober, it's a different experience.
I was like, we only had 16 minutes. I thought I was about to go and have a half-time drink. I was like,
because we usually don't get in till 16 minutes past. That's why we've had a few drinks.
And the heat didn't help, did it?
It was hot. I think we pretty much called the starting 11, didn't we? And you know, it was a dour draw, wasn't it, in the end? But I think there were glimpses in that first half, Harry, where you go, actually, this reminds me a little bit of the first 3 games of last season where it was Bruno ball.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, exactly the same team. I thought, to be fair, Jack called it that Guedes probably won't start, but I thought he would, but he didn't. And as you say, first half, especially the early part, Swang went through. Neto obviously had that one open goal, although a lot of the screenshots have been going around. Did him a little bit dirty, but he could have probably just toe poked that one in. And obviously then Podence messes it up. And I thought, here we go. We're flying at them. They couldn't handle us. We're getting in and behind. But then once the goal don't come, you start to think, oh, no. But what I will say, although, like, you know, the 4 at the back, they didn't cause us too many problems, did they, Fulham, which was a positive sign. I thought Collins and Kilman did really well against Mitrovic. So, yeah, I mean, after the penalty incident, which we'll get on to, you've got to take the draw in the end. But on the grand scheme of things, we should be winning that game. One shot on target's a concern. But now, with the rumours of the transfer window, hopefully we can get that sorted and start putting the ball in the back of the net.
You mentioned Collins there. His game by numbers versus Fulham. This is from Statman Dave on Twitter. 100% of tackles won, 100% ground duels won, 93% pass accuracy, 92 touches, 6 out of 8 long balls completed, 2 interceptions, 1 clearance. A big performance for Wolves. A great home debut for him, wasn't it, Jack?
Yeah, I think I saw a stat somewhere else as well that he was the player. You know, they did the other 14 thing, that Twitter page where it takes out the big sits, and he had the most sort of forward passes by a good 150 to second place compared to everyone else. It was quite a big distance between him and whoever came second there. So, yeah, good game, and always going to be a few questions like playing 4 at the back against a player like Mitrovic, who has caused us a lot of problems in the past. But I think he was frustrated, really, and the problem is, it's just we just look like can't score FC again because we don't have a proper striker on the books who's fit at the moment. That's part of the issue. But when you do things like when Neto basically, it was a great bit of running, and you know they a bit of a calamity from their keeper and their defender, but he just there to prod it in, but just takes a split second too much and ends up fluffing the chance. And the one I don't know, I didn't remember this during the game. I don't know if we were still in the concourse, but the Gibbs White one, has anyone watched that back? where
Oh, at
Gibbs
the other
White
end
hits
to us, wasn't it?
at the opposite end to us. I think it must have been just at the start of the second half, because I don't actually remember it. But
It went at him quick though, didn't it? In his defence, but it is an open goal, isn't it? And
it was an open goal that he sort of skied over.
I think we did see it because we joked about it nearly taking the clock off the South Bank, didn't we?
Oh, maybe I just blotted that out
That
of
is
my
a funny
memory.
joke.
But watching that back, it looked a lot worse than it did at the time. But if you can't score these sorts of chances and at least get one goal from those sorts of situations, then we got him behind like twice in the first 10 minutes, didn't we? Really, and it was all going really well.
On Gibbs White, I thought he had a good game. I know he missed that chance, but I thought he was good, and I loved it when he squared up to Mitrovic, and how Mitrovic never got sent off for that, by the way.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It was.
Should have, and his passion's brilliant.
I said the same last week after Leeds, and I said the thing about Gibbs White is it looks like he actually really does care, and he really does want to be here. You just got to be careful he doesn't boil over a little bit. But Mitrovic's reaction, it was, if anything, it's a blatant yellow all day. It's definitely a book in that, and his reaction should be a second yellow. But for both players to be on even par, both get booked after that. It's like, it's, you know, well, you saw that in what happens when you headbutt someone in the Liverpool game on Monday night, and it was because Mitrovic was frustrated, and in a game where Fulham didn't really create too much and had the chance to win it, you know, he messed up for his team, didn't he? So, screw him. But another problem. So we've got the problem at the top of the pitch is obviously we know striker can't score, and the other problem at the moment is the fullbacks, isn't it? Let's be honest, because if you look at the 2 goals against Leeds and the nearly giving the game away with a penalty, who's at fault in all 3 of those game-changing incidents?
Ain't Nori.
Yeah. And this is the issue now. So we just need to be careful. And I'm very pleased, I know Dan isn't here, that Semedo came on in that game. I think we all are, really. Because
it made me laugh because last week's podcast, Bayliss was saying how good our fullbacks were at Leeds. Because obviously Semedo weren't playing, so we had to really big up Ain't Nori and Johnny.
They were.
But I still don't think they were that good at Leeds. And again, against who did we play? My head just got Fulham. Yeah, against Ain't Nori again. He's nearly cost us the game with a sloppy tackle, and rightly so. You mentioned Semedo. He came on and he did really well. And Ain't Nori was fantastic in pre-season. Going forward, the lad is so talented. Like, he's a flair player. He's unstoppable at times. He's whipping the ball and taking players on little 1-2s. But defensively, he's still got that naivety, and he's still got that mistake that could cost you a point or all 3 points. So we might see Johnny switch to left back and Semedo be at right back if he don't cut out those mistakes.
I did like Johnny at right wing back, but I just do much prefer him on the left. I don't know if it's because he's played there for so long and obviously did quite well towards the back end of last season. We weren't playing brilliant football, but credit where it's due. But I would definitely rather have Semedo in that right back berth by a country mile. And to be fair to him, it's a position that he is the most natural in, because he was never really a wing back. He never played in a 5. He was bought because Nuno was going to change to a 4. It didn't work. We weren't patient enough. Rightly so, in my opinion. I don't think we were ready for it. We just didn't have the players. We were trying to play a 4 at the back with a squad that's aimed at 5 at the back. So was there a moment in the game where you think, do you think it was maybe the potential of the sending off that changed it? Or was it the penalty save? Was it that we were just missing the striker, Harry?
Yeah, I think missing the striker is the big one, isn't it? And even when we brought Guedes on and Adama, I thought Adama didn't do nothing either, did he really? I got excited when he come on.
Didn't touch the ball.
No, and I just thought he might give us a bit of a fleck. Guedes had a few moments, but we were missing that bloke in the middle or someone to put the ball in the net again. Hwang, he tried. He went through on that one, didn't he, early on, which you've already mentioned, but we were just crying out for Raul to be back or another one we're going to bring in. And in terms of turning points, up until before the penalty, I was just like, I can't believe we haven't got to get the 3 points here. But then as soon as that happens, you've got to be grateful, haven't you?
Yeah.
I thought he was going to score. Like I never usually get a feeling, don't you? I thought there's no way he's missing this. But fair play to Sarr, decent enough save. Not the best penalty in the world, but decent enough save. And on another day, we lose, don't we?
Yeah. Well, I said after the game, that it was a game that we should have won, but we were lucky to have drawn. I think that's just the way that it was. Like you say, the penalty save is just huge. In Adama's defence, Jack came on at 78 minutes. I think he should have probably come on with Gedge at 58 minutes, and it should have been Hwang instead of Neto.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you could say, I know Traore didn't come on and do any of his trademark runs or anything, but at the same time, he was never really in a position, or we were never in a position with the ball to give him that opportunity if you want to defend him a little bit. But, he's not a player who's exactly going to run around, knacker himself out to try and get the ball, is he? You know what he's like. He's a bit lazy. So, yeah, I thought it's one of those where the crowd was singing his name and we thought the game was crying out for him. But when he came on, it just didn't work out that way, to be honest. And whether that's his fault or whether that's the team's fault, I'm not quite sure. But give him the benefit of the doubt, I suppose, and just move on and say, yeah, okay, thanks, Jose Sarr, for saving the penalty. We'll take a point to get us off the mark, even though really we should have at least scored a goal in that game. But we can take the positives again that we are creating chances and just move on and hope we can kick on, especially now we've got a few more reinforcements who are coming to sort of be embedded in the side.
Harry, are you liking the look of Ruben Neves with the captain's armband?
Yeah, I mean, he worked hard again. I thought him and Dendoncker played well again. Feels like they have to do a lot more running in this system, and I think they both did well. And I mean, obviously we're buzzing with the news of Nunes coming in, but I think Dendoncker's done all right, to be fair to him. So it's
a good start, isn't he?
Yeah,
he was box to box, wasn't he? Box
brilliant,
to box.
Yeah. And I mean, the midfield, them two, I mean, you'd take them being in there, wouldn't you? With Matheus injured at the moment. And yeah, Neves is a suited captain, although is Kilman going to be, is the rumours Kilman? He's probably vice, isn't he? But yeah.
Vice captain, they said.
Yeah, we know how good Neves is, don't we? And he's leading by example with his performances at the moment, isn't he? He's working hard. How many balls does he switch the play? Does it so much, doesn't he? It's a joy to watch. So hope he can keep it up.
Also, Kilman, just from stats that came out for him, and just over the first 2 games of this season, 29 ball recoveries so far, and he's well ahead of everybody else. And that's out of the whole league. So he's stepped up, and they're just brilliant with the ball at their feet, aren't they? They look so comfortable, and we're just, I think, not really that used to seeing somebody at centre back so comfortable on the ball. Maybe Bolly in the Championship, but I can't remember really before that. Maybe like a Lescott. You'd have to go quite far back for someone that is that comfortable with the ball at their feet, rather than just trying to absolutely hack it away at the first opportunity. So yeah, really good to see. Should we move on to Tottenham? Is the early kickoff on Saturday, 12:30, London Stadium. Jack, I'll start with you. You are going. I don't think you are you, Harry?
It's train striking it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we've beaten Spurs last 4 away games.
3 out of 4. I think we beat them 3 out of the 4 since we've been up. Yeah. So we beat them at Wembley. We beat them twice at the new ground, I think. And there was one in the middle somewhere that we lost. But very good record away at Tottenham on paper. Can't not to be sniffed at all. Obviously, a place that we feel quite comfortable with going. Emily watched Spurs Chelsea at the weekend because I mean, Spurs were by far second best in that game, and in my opinion, were very lucky to somehow scrape a point at the death. Really, Chelsea should have had them put to bed very soon in that game, and I think there was a bit of a few sort of dubious refereeing decisions that the Chelsea fans weren't too happy about, which kind of led to their 2 goals. But they are always a threat, aren't they? When you've got Harry Kane to pop up in the last minute, and something that we need to be careful of. I mean, on paper it looks like a difficult game, but from what I've seen so far, there's no reason why I don't think we're going to go there and create a few chances, and maybe it'll all click into place at some point. But it's not a fixture that I'm particularly scared of. There's a fair chance, a bit of pressure on Tottenham now that they'll have to come out and really perform. But maybe it comes a little bit too early in the season for us until we've got our new signings properly up to speed. But I'm not scared of this fixture at all. There's no reason why we can't go there and score and get something, I think. So.
No manager as well on the sidelines, will there be, Harry, after Conte did some Strictly Come Dancing with Thomas Tuchel?
That was brilliant, wasn't it? I'd love to see that. Man's game, as Graham Souness said. I'm joking. That's a joke. Well, would it make much of a difference? Probably not. Maybe Bruno Lage would have chinned him or something if he'd have been there. But... No, but it's one of them. And I think Tottenham are a much better team than when we played them and beat them last year at their place 2-0. So we are massive. Would you say we're massive underdogs? It feels like it to me.
Yeah.
But I feel like go with the 4 at the back again, which I think we will. We could shock them, couldn't we? We could just go all out attack. They attack us and we could surprise them.
People are looking at our first 2 games now. We haven't necessarily watched them and thinking, oh, hang on, Wolves might be in trouble here. Because two games they, probably should have at least picked up a win in 1 out of 2 of them. So with the way odds compiling's put together, I think Spurs will be definite odds-on favourites by a long way for this. But from watching those 2 Wolves games, I don't think it'll be that straightforward at all.
Where's the weakness in that Tottenham side, Harry? Because you'd probably say it's actually, when compared to Wolves, it's in the middle of the park.
Yeah, definitely. And I was quite. I completely forgot they signed Richarlison as well. Like when he come on the weekend, I think he was offside on that one goal, but yeah, probably. But they look good under him, don't they? I know they didn't play that well at Chelsea, but he's got them. He's got them playing well, hasn't he, Conte? So it's going to be a very tough game. And Kane's going to pop up and score as well. And it'd be interesting to see how Collins and Kilman do against him. But when Jack mentioned just about people from the outside looking at our first two results, and especially with Cody going, I was listening to Ben Foster's podcast, and they had Tubes of Soccer AM.
Yeah,
he was going. They were talking about the Cody transfer, and he was like, "Wolves are done. Wolves are done." Looks like there was on about the 0-0, getting rid of Cody, disgrace. Like everyone thinks we're going down just because we got rid of Cody, and that is just like.
Well, then I walked in the pub in George Wallace before the game and just saw a ball go over the top of him.
Exactly.
I know where this is going. Yep, there we go. 1-0.
And then he got subbed off for Everton. They went to a back four the last 10 minutes or so. I bet he's happy with that.
Oh, I can't get your breath. Starting 11, Jack.
That's a good question, isn't it? You actually got to think about that this time, haven't you? So Nunes is going to be announced at some point. I think it will be too early for him to start, but I think it will. He's trained today, apparently, haven't they? People have said he's been down the training ground, I think, according to Twitter rumours. So I'd expect him to feature. I'd imagine it would be kind of like Guedes did at the weekend, last 20 minutes or so, sort of to pop up. So then the only other question is who keeps their place from last season. It wouldn't surprise me last week. It wouldn't surprise me if it's the same team, to be honest with you. The only person you might slot in there is Guedes, if you wanted to.
No Semedo and Johnny moved to left back. You know
what? I forgot about Semedo. If he's fit, I mean, if Semedo's fit, I think he has to start for me. But it's easing players back in, isn't it? So I'd be quite happy if Semedo was on the starting lineup, so long as he's fit. And it's a case of whether he brings in Guedes. Really, I know who would you bring him in for? Would you take Hwang out and just not play with a proper out and out forward and stick Guedes in there? I don't know. Well, it's not a striker to play, is there? So you may as well. One thing I will say about one thing I will say about last Saturday's opponents was crap. Opponents was useless. Honestly, I think it was one of the worst games I've seen him play for a while.
He's not effective through the middle.
So I think his place could be up for grabs.
Yeah, maybe Raul's back because his missus said he's only going to be out for like the first two games on Instagram, didn't she?
He's been doing some running. He was the bloke up the tree.
Yeah. He's a bloke up the tree. Who is that? Who is a bloke up the tree?
Just a bloke who goes at Compton and goes up the tree and takes photos of the new players. But he took some pictures of Jimenez doing some running, I think.
Might be on the
when
bench.
He was looking for Nunes. But so possible.
Paul saying that Moutinho's fit as well, but I doubt because of the way Dendoncker and Neves have been playing, and especially if Nunes signs, I don't think Moutinho would start really. It'll probably be the same team, unless Nunes signs, which you'd think he would by the time this is released.
Jack, where do you think Moutinho fits in to this squad now?
He is a very key member of the squad, but not the starting 11. He's one of these players that will feature and probably have to play his part throughout the season, but he won't be the first name on the team sheet that he has sort of been for the last 3 years, I think, really. And with a player of his age, that's probably in the last year of his time at Wolves, really, you need to build for the future and look ahead, don't you? But he'll have a role to play this season, most definitely. But I think it will be a sort of a bit part player rather than playing every league game. But he'll come on with the last 15 minutes to go, and when the players in the midfield need rotation, he'll get the start here and there, I think. But he'll feature quite a lot, but he won't be getting as many minutes as he has done in previous seasons, I don't think.
Harry, we did say that Podence had a poor game. For me, it makes more sense for Gibbs White to move into that central role and Podence to be on the wing, because that is by far where he is the most effective.
Yeah, well, Paul made that point in the comment, didn't he? 'Cause he was really effective centrally for Sheffield United. But I like the Wolves said. I'll just get the comment up. A 4-3-3 with Nunes, Neves, and Moutinho as the three midfielders. If you drop Podence, for example, because he didn't have the best of games, and then you go with Gibbs White, would he go with probably Guedes and Neto as the three up there? I'd like that. So we'll see. But he might want to stick with the 4-2-3-1 though, hadn't he? So be interesting to see what he does, because we need to try and change something slightly, whether it's personnel or formation, just to try and put the bloody ball in the net, don't we?
There's one question around Neto from Aaron saying, is he overrated? He rarely scores, rarely assists, but fans seem to say he's undroppable. Don't get it. Is he given a little bit more leeway than others, do you think? I mean, we're sort of having a go at Podence, and he realistically scored against Leeds and had one poor game against Fulham.
No, I think we're quite fair, really. Like, I like Podence for the record. Like, I just don't think he played very well just in that one game, and that's why. But do we have more patience with Neto? Maybe a little bit, but he has just come back from injury still, hasn't it? So I know he's got a full pre-season this time, so I think there's going to be a little bit of a lenience after having such a bad injury. But we've seen glimpses of it. I mean, you've seen some of the clips from just his first 2 games of his skill and talent there. So it'll click at some point, but it's hard to get assists when you haven't got anyone to put the ball in the net. But
do you think we have a little bit more of a soft spot for those so-called flair players, or those special players like Traore? For me, would obviously fall into that category. I
think Podence would Podence fall into flair.
Yeah,
I think but yeah, I see what you mean.
I think he's better than Jota. So I mean, like, I got a bad word to say about him.
No, but Neto, I think people are saying that as well because of the open goal. Well, calling it an open goal miss is slightly harsh, but he should have put it away. But Neto's been good. I think he's been one of our biggest threats. But like you say, it will click, and if he's got someone to put the ball into, we'll be loving him because he is. For me, on his day, Neto is our best player when he's on it. Him or Neves, but definitely.
Let's do a score prediction, Jack.
2-1 defeat.
Oh, 2-1 defeat. Harry?
I'm going to go for a repeat of last season. I think we're going to surprise a lot of people on a high after this signing and go there and win 2-0.
2-0, good. Like to hear that. Jack, what were you going to say then? Because I think I probably interrupted you. Was there going to be a caveat?
No, I was just thinking about it, and I think it's just come a little bit too early in the season. I think we need a little bit more time, which is would have been nice to get some of these players in a little bit sooner, but we'll see. I think we're basically, as a football club, just written off August, and we'll probably have about 1 point at the end of it. But hey ho,
is what it is. Right, okay. Well, I was going to say let's get your latest betting odds and ticket news, but Bayliss isn't here. So, Jack, can we start with your ticket news? And Harry, can you find some bets like frantic?
Yeah, I'll have a quick look. See if we're massive underdogs.
Let me see what I've got. Ticket news. So, we've got a cup game, haven't we?
Oh,
we've got a cup game.
Yes,
we are at home to Preston North End in the Carabao Cup on the 23rd of August. Kickoff is at 7:45. Quite good prices for those, actually. So, £12 for the adults and the members there. And then the kids and concessions a little bit cheaper. I think the cheapest under 17s are £3, which is pretty good, isn't it? I expect they'll probably get quite a decent crowd for that, to be honest.
I'm going to get the points into the Europa League next season.
Exactly. That's what everyone will be thinking, really. So yeah, I reckon there'll be quite a good crowd for that, even though it is not exactly a glamour tie. So get down there and support the boys if you can. So there is, I think, a handful of tickets left for like the Newcastle game on Sunday at 4:00, but not many really. If you're talking
such a crap time, I hate those
games. I think it's in the southwest corner that there's quite good availability, but it's going to be pretty much full, but not quite rammed, I'm afraid. And then the next home game after that is the Southampton game, Saturday 3:00 kickoff, and I think there's a handful left for that as well, actually, but quite limited availability because it's obviously a much more desirable kickoff time. The away games, so Spurs on Saturday, as we know, is sold out. With the Bournemouth tickets, I think the away game at Bournemouth on the 31st of August, they went on sale to the gold season ticket holders, and then I think they've been taken off sale now before they get put on. The remainder get put on sale for the silver away season ticket holders, but because it's such a tiny crap ground, it's always going to be a really difficult thing to try and get tickets for that one. So it's inevitably going to, I would say, even with it being a Wednesday night, probably only will stay with the away season ticket holders and not actually make its way onto the points there. And what we got apart from that? Oh, just Liverpool away, actually. The ballot is open for that, actually, if people want to go and have a go and try and get one for the away game at Liverpool. So yeah, I think the ballot's open for another day or so, and then they draw them out before they go on sale to the away season tickets, and you can buy your ticket if you win the ballot on the first points bracket, which is usually over 1,210, I think it is for Liverpool. So if you're a season ticket holder and you want a chance to go to Liverpool away, now's your chance.
Did we mention that, what Paul's put in the comments about the 27% off? So that's got to be.
We haven't yet.
Is that something to do with the transfer? It's got to be.
It's inevitable, isn't it? I'd imagine he's going to be number 27, or he's signed until 2027, or something like.
It could be a 5-year deal. That's a good shout.
Born on the 27th.
Yeah.
Might be his favourite number.
Yeah. Harry has some betting odds. I'm going to do a double of Hungry Like the Wolves prediction, which is Wolves to beat Spurs 2-0 and then to beat Preston 8-0. So
Jesus, I mean, I ain't going to get the odds for that right now, but I can tell you it'd be big.
It normally takes us about 10 months to score that many goals. So shows you where we've come in this transfer window. But go ahead, Harry.
Yeah, so as predicted, 4-11 a Spurs win. That's quite odds on, isn't it, Jack? You know your odds.
Well, it's basically 1-3 in it.
Yeah, we're 15-2. That's about 6 or 7-1, is it? So that's 15-2. That's pretty big underdogs. 19-5 for the draw. Couple of correct scores. My famous, well, I say famous, it never comes in. 4-1 Wolves, right, is the biggest I've ever seen it. It's 200-1.
Is it?
Oh,
200-1.
20 quid on that, Harry. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, straight in. 2-0 Wolves, what I predicted is 40-1, which usually is what about 4-1 is for Wolves on a normal game. So I might have that.
Oh, wow. That is the difference.
Yeah. A 2-1 to Tottenham, which is what Jack predicted, is 7-1. So that's pretty likely. What did you predict, Sam? Was it 2-1 as well? Yeah. But so, yeah, we're big underdogs as expected. I'll have a look at the goal scorers as well.
What's
Harry Kane 3-1.
What's a half-time Tottenham, full-time Wolves, Harry?
Let's have a look. I'm not very good at this app.
I know we like them, don't we? Every now and then.
Half-time Tottenham, full-time Wolves. I can't get it up, but no idea. I can't find it. But yeah, if that happens now, sorry, but I hope you can find the odds because I can't. Oh yeah, half-time, full-time. So Tottenham. Oh my God, Tottenham should be winning first half. Wolves to win second half. 66-1.
That's really big. That is. That's big.
Tottenham half-time, a draw full-time. 18-1 as well.
That's not bad either.
So
I'm thinking 4-1 Wolves. So Harry, we did him 3-1 at Wembley, didn't we? So just go
200-1. Jesus, put a 50p on it.
Right. Okay. Well, actually, latest betting odds and ticket news. Let's have a look at the tale of two young loan players. One is Fabio Silva, the other is Keanu Hoover. Harry, how are you feeling about Fabio's loan? Because a lot of people are sort of saying get him back now. My thought, and probably the thought of a lot of other people, is this is exactly what he has gone on loan to do. No one goes on loan to go and sit on the bench or not get any minutes, not score any goals. The Belgian league clearly isn't the strongest league in the world. I don't want to take away from any of the goals he scored because I think he's bolted up nicely and he scored a cracking header the other day. But 6 games, 5 goals, 2 assists, goal or assist every 48 minutes, involved at 54% of the team's goals so far. I mean, they love him, and this is exactly what he needs, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think the big point is that is the Belgian league obviously ain't as strong as the Premier League, but it feels like the shackles are off him, doesn't it? It feels like he's enjoying his football, and like you say, it's exactly what he needed. And I'm glad he is, because if he'd have gone there and not scored at all, that's probably people would be like writing him off for his career at Wolves full stop then, wouldn't they? So it's good for him. It's going to build his confidence. It's going to build his experience, and we just got to hope he can carry it on. And whether it's a year, you'd assume he'll be back next year, and just hope he can come in and do a job for us as well.
Jack?
Yeah, totally agree. It's why you send your players on loan, is because you want them to be able to get more comfortable with their game and to score, really. And that's exactly what he's doing. So fair play to him. Wolves will have made this decision to loan him out. Although I was doubting the whole transfer thing a few weeks ago, they've got to have something lined up, and I think they will have. There'll be somebody else coming in as a striker before the end of the window, and that's why they allowed Fabio to leave, really, and go and play in Belgium. And fair play to him. Like, he's done really well, and hopefully, I know every time he scores or every time he does anything, that Wolves Twitter just goes into meltdown, or like some people saying, "Oh yeah, well done," other people saying, "What are we doing?" But it's probably nice for him to know that all the Wolves fans are just monitoring how he's doing so closely and praising him, really, because we have still got high hopes for him when he comes back. But yeah, fair play to him. It seems actually like if we had lots of personnel in that position, it would be a great move all round. The only reason people are putting doubt over it is because we are just so thin up top. But
do you agree with that, Harry? Do you think it's going to be a dip into the loan market, probably over a permanent deal?
Probably, because of the money we've been spending, yeah. So, but I don't know. We've got to get someone in. And I think they know that, don't they? And I think we will, especially with the activity we've been showing. So I think we will.
Hungry Like the Wolf says some of their fans have labelled him the best player they've ever had at Anderlecht, but you've got to remember that they used to have Sol Ki-hun, so he's clearly much better.
That's high praise, though, isn't it? It's good to hear things
It is,
like that.
yeah.
They might be getting a bit carried away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You might do a
I think
Bonatini and not score like for the second half of the season.
Yeah, easy enough to do. Yeah, when they bang him in. Jack Hoover, it looks like he's been, I don't know, put in the reserves essentially for PSV. Very good.
We can't read that out like the
That's
Wolf.
true.
Well done.
That's true. Does it surprise him for you? Because I think attitude problem is something you put on his CV potentially, especially after last season. I know Bruno called him out for it after the West Ham game, was it last season? For his work rate wasn't quite right, and it looks like his work rate isn't quite there for PSV now. Young player with a problem?
Yes, definitely. Obviously got some sort of attitude problem. The fact for it to happen twice now means there's no smoke without fire, is there really? So he's obviously got something he needs to sort out. We've seen glimpses of him having talent, but it always rings alarm bells with me whenever you see clubs like Liverpool are okay to get rid of somebody, because you're kind of thinking, okay, if he was that much of a great young talent, why don't you want to keep him? Sort of thing. Is either because he's not good enough or there's something else going on? And with Keanu Hoover, I think it's both. I think he's probably not good enough and he's not got the best attitude, to be honest. So, how much did we pay for him? Because it wasn't cheap, was it?
10 million, was it?
13,
yeah. So it's not pittance, is it really? I know you're paying for the potential thing, but I don't think we'll see him in a Wolves shirt again. Bruno made his stance very clear, and if he goes over to Holland and can't get in the squad there because of his attitude, then he's only going to go downhill, isn't it? Really, because it's going to be he will look back and regret it. It would be a waste of his career. But if he's not got the right attitude, you can't just get to the very top of world football with just talent alone. Everyone knows that.
Did you see?
You actually need a bit of dedication in there. So.
It's just reminding me actually of like the Wolves comment. He's comparing him to like Dele Alli ruining his career. Did you see that clip of Jose Mourinho from the?
Yeah.
What a great clip that was! Like saying, I was 20 yesterday. Now I'm 52. You're wasting your life, and that it's just aged so well. That clip, hasn't it? With how his career's gone.
Yeah,
it's right, isn't it? Mourinho was spot on, because now he's going to Besiktas, is he, or somewhere in Turkey? Isn't he? Dele Alli potentially?
Yeah. Well, you think he was an integral part of that England squad 4 years ago, wasn't he? They went to the World Cup, and then by the time the Euros came around, I know they were postponed, so it's a little bit longer period of time in between each tournament, but to not even get a sniff at it, and now obviously absolutely no chance, probably not even going to stay in the Premier League.
He was one of those players when you first come up and you'd see him like Dele Alli in a Spurs top, you think, oh, bloody hell, they've got Dele Alli. Now if you get him, I'll be like, oh, screw it. Like, whatever. Come on, get into him. He's useless. Yeah.
It is like with Hoover, though. He needs to have that sort of advice, doesn't he? You've got to put your head down, mate, or you're going to lose your career.
I think, the warning signs are probably there, especially when, and I know it's more hindsight now, so that's a different issue. But when you think about the young players that Klopp has brought through at Liverpool and they're given a chance in the first team, especially the other night as well. I know they're a bit thin on the ground in midfield and stuff, but they're always given a chance, but their attitude is always spot on. And that's just does seem to be the difference, because if you haven't got the attitude, then you're never going to make it.
Yeah. Just on Mourinho as well. Like, I mean, when he was Man United manager, and I always thought he'd lost the plot, but if you think he got second with them, and he would always say, wouldn't he, how bad they are and how much they need. And he's been proved right again with how they are now, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So,
the Solskjaer finished second.
Yeah.
We should probably talk about Man United, because particularly when we're saying about, what if Neves goes to Man United before the end of the window?
God.
It's a massive risk for Neves. Looking at the what's going on there, it's a shambles, isn't it? It's an absolute shambles.
It is a shambles. That is exactly the word.
The thing that makes me laugh, that I don't get, and maybe Man United fans will probably know more than me, is that they just seem to attack the owners, even though the owners spend a load of money on whoever they want. They go getting whoever they want. They go and bring in these players on massive money, massive wages, bring in the manager they all want, and then it doesn't go right, and it's their fault. And I don't get like.
Did you see Gary Neville and Jamie Redknapp? Their little spat.
They did it. It was another one with people not looking in the other person's eyes, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was like, look in my eyes, Gary, when I'm talking to you. But Redknapp was making the point of saying, look, because Neville keeps going on about the Glazers and all that. Redknapp was like, look, some of these players have got to take responsibility. That it was so bad that first half, wasn't it, against Brentford? Oh. And like Ten Hag's trying to get them to play football, and Jesus Christ, they're in trouble. And Ronaldo don't want to know. No. They are in trouble. Funny to see, though. I love it. I love it.
It's brilliant.
I think the one thing that is doing though, this whole saga is damaging Ronaldo's reputation because
Would you take it?
Of course,
yeah,
Of course
yeah,
you
yeah.
Uncle George.
But-
Actually, he's actually probably what we are missing when you think if we've got
Just
no
someone to put the ball in
strikers,
the net.
you know, someone that can head the ball. We haven't got anyone to head the ball.
He wouldn't move, but he'd put the ball in the net.
Yeah, 18 goals
Yeah.
last season. 18 goals. Yeah,
Imagine that. Jesus.
but yeah, they do seem to blame the owners more than anyone else, and the fact that they look like a bunch of highlighter pens as they capitulated against Brentford, and the class. Like for the Brentford fans to boo Christian Eriksen, I think is just absolutely brilliant because
God.
you know they gave him a
Yes, fair
chance.
enough.
He jumped ship at the first sign of somebody else having a sniff around him, and he's got absolutely tanked 4-0.
Yeah.
It's a lesson in football, isn't it?
That's a point. Paul's just put in the comments, 400k a week though. Imagine Jeff sat in front of Ronaldo. So Cristiano, what do you want? He's like 400k. He'd faint, wouldn't he? He'd fall off his chair. 400k.
If he's not going to, I think it's really difficult, isn't it? Because we're not in the same sort of wage brackets as everybody else.
Nah.
But when you don't pay a fee, which I think is probably why they signed him, or maybe was he 12 million or something for some sort of buyout? That you haven't got a big expenditure. It's essentially just wages, isn't it? So if you weigh that up, because you could pay 15 million for somebody that's over the hill, especially in this market. So if you do get them for free, okay, the wages come into it, and then everyone else goes, "Oh, I want to get paid more money," and that's why it all falls apart. But as an investment, I think Ronaldo, they make it back in shirt sales.
Yeah.
The problem with like Man United though is that because whenever anyone's selling a player now, or whenever a player wants to go to Man United, it's Man United, just stick 30 million on that, and now I'll demand 3 times the wage I would at another club. And that's probably part of what's just draining them, isn't it? Because they're paying over the odds for these players who turn out to actually just be average or slightly above average.
The money they've spent is mad, isn't it?
Mental, isn't it? Really, I've just got that video now of that clip in my head of that old chap buying a Red Bull when you said about Jeff Shea and Ronaldo doing the negotiations. And he just goes, "I've got 50p, fuck off."
How much is this? 50p.
I want 400 grand, please.
Oh, genius! Well, looking forward to the weekend. Harry, where are you watching it?
I'll pop to the pub or just watch it at home. What about you?
Nip to the pub for one, just to wet the whistle.
Yeah. What about you?
Swan till 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Where are you watching it, Sam?
Don't know yet. No, I was going to say
with
I'll
Harry.
watch it with Harry. Yeah, watch it with Harry.
Yeah, and then it's a boxing on Saturday night.
It is, isn't it? At the end
Joshua
of Anthony Joshua's career. How unfortunate.
Yeah.
There you go.
First time for Man United.
Would you take Anthony Joshua? Would you put Anthony Joshua up front for Wolves?
100%. Better than Wang. Right, okay, we'll say goodbye for another week. We'll say goodbye to Harry Mansell.
Yeah, very positive podcast. Nice to be positive.
I know,
against
it's
here,
good
everyone.
to be back.
The difference between this and 2 weeks ago, I was just like, we're a disgrace. It's a joke. It's gross incompetence.
Diabolical.
We've got 11 players. We're going down. And I was wrong.
5 stars on Spotify. We're up to 80 now. So cheers for that. Yeah.
Oh, lovely stuff. Thank you for your support, of course, as always. And goodbye to Jack Williams.
Ta-ra.
And it's a goodbye from me. Goodbye.